So breaking down the passing game and Brock Purdy and, saying he should let it rip, I want to come back and I want to talk about the offensive line and how that is affecting not just Brock, the receivers, the running backs, and the running game, but just the offense in general. As you can see on this play, like the team desperately needs 85 George Kittle. They could not function on the ground because, as you just saw the tight end right there, like they were missing blocks left and right. So I really want to focus on the interior line, but you're going to see some other things pop up in this as well, just because like the offensive line, like they've been okay, they've been competent, but against the Seahawks, they just, for lack of better words, they got their butts kicked. So since we're past the trade deadline and there's still 7 games left, 49ers still have playoff aspirations, they need to make a change. I think that's pretty apparent, right? For me, 1, 2, like those are the main culprits. Left guard, subpar this season. Center, he's just been getting beaten far too often. Watch Jake Brendel on this play. Here he is right here. Too often, he just gets manhandled and loses way too quickly, as you can see on this play. If you watch Aaron Banks right next to him, his left, the awareness is just lacking. So it's a clear double team, right? Trent Williams is coming down to block him. If that's the case, you need to work on this half of the lineman. He's on this half, and there's nowhere for Trent to go. So like the awareness over and over has really been poor all season for Banks. So I would not be surprised if we see Jon Feliciano start against Green Bay, and that's because whether it's Banks, whether it's Brendel, the mistakes that they've consistently made over the past month. So before I go any further, take a look at this. Since week 5, so both Seattle games, right? And there's a bye week in between there. So we have a pretty large sample size, or a good enough sample size to determine how these guys are playing up front. This is Sports Info Solutions. So blown block against the pass, against the run, and the penalties they've committed. It's no surprise to see Colton McKivitz have the most blown blocks against the pass, right? But the problem I see is center, left guard, right on his heels. Like that is an issue. You can't have multiple players above 5. This guy has been playing on one leg. He's been banged up. He does not get any help compared to the rest of the guys. So it's not really, it's Trent Williams. Like he's the best player on the team. Dominic Puny, a clean sheet in a month and a half of blocking is pretty damn good. No penalties is pretty damn good. The problem with that is your rookie cannot be your best player, right? Along the offensive line. And I'm not saying that he's better than Trent Williams. Statistically, he's played like that. But when you have an offensive line and 3 of them are consistently below average across the board, like that is an issue. Here's another look at Brendel. And climbing to the second level was actually his strong suit before this year, but here he is, like, so there's a double team, and now he just overruns the linebacker, and the linebacker is right there to make a play. You can see Brendel's like grabbing at his rib. Something is wrong, clearly, right? So that might be another reason, and maybe that's the 49ers need to insert Feliciano at center, who, by the way, played nearly 1,100 snaps in 2022. Last year, he played, I think, over 250 snaps at center. I know he's rotating with Spencer Burford, but like he was in and out of lineup. He played left guard, right guard, center, so he's all over the place. I'm not saying he's going to be godsend and turn into an all-pro or turn the offensive line into, this special unit. But when you're seeing the mistakes that I've just pointed out in these 2 plays and over the course of this video, like it's easy to understand why the 49ers need to make a change and why a veteran like Feliciano could make a difference. I also want to point out, like when I'm pointing these plays out, I'm not cherry picking. Like if there's a one-off, whether it's Brock, Brendel, McCaffrey, whoever it may be, I'm not cherry picking. So yesterday I pulled out in the Brock video, his awareness was an issue. Watch on this play. So Aaron Banks, he's uncovered. That means he's just going to look for work. So right there, he's being blocked he's blocking a defensive tackle. So he recognizes that there's a stunt coming. But watch where he ends up. So he's like left guard right now, and he ends up going all the way across the line. Like in no way should your left guard be your right guard post snap. Like that is not how football works. So he's just latching on way too long, and that has to change. It's been consistent over the past month too. This is a play I broke down on Twitter. just talking about the wide receiver separation. People were under the impression that Debo is double covered right here, which couldn't be further from the truth. They're in a too high shell. They're playing cover 2. He's underneath. Debo is widening his release. So he's widening his release to give him more space over the middle. This is open in the NFL. This is open in Pop Warner, anything. Right there, like that is open in the NFL. People were commenting that he's double covered. Could not be further from the truth. And obviously, Juwan Jennings is wide open. So again, like the explosives are there for the 49ers, but when you watch from the end zone angle and you see the center not being able to hold his block for 2 seconds, there's a reason that the 49ers aren't able to have these explosive passing plays down the field anymore. So watch the center, watch Brendel at the snap here. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You can't even finish 2 seconds before he's given up these quick pressures. And that's why, like, I've been wondering, like, are they going to take out Banks? Would they take out Brendel? Like, they're not married to either. After this season, they can get out of Brendel's contract. Banks is a free agent. But, oh, man, like, that's tough to run an offense when your center's getting just beaten that fashion that quickly. Like, clearly he's laboring something. Something is up with Brendel. Like, he's, after every play, he's either bending down, he's grabbing his arm, he's grabbing his rib. So, he's not on the injury report, which is interesting. But again, like I can see the 49ers making a change because of what we're seeing in these plays. Okay, so by now you know process, 5 greater signs, results. Do not care how the play ends up. The play ends up like the 49ers get a first down. Brock takes his drop, hits Juwan Jennings on a deep curl on a 3rd down, first down. However, if you're watching the lineman, you're watching the center, this is probably why we see Jon Feliciano. So, again, like great awareness, right? He's finding work. He's looking to block somebody. He sees a stun. He picks up a stun, or acknowledges where the stun is, I should say. So, after he engages, let's do the count again, right? 1 Mississippi, 2 beat. Like, that can't happen. He should not have to deal with the opposite color jersey in his face routinely. Like, that is an issue, which is another reason why think we see a change. So when Christian McCaffrey's your running back, you should not be struggling to run the ball. And on this play, Brendel gets, like, this is not a hold. I hate this call so much. Hated it at the time. Hated even more seeing it now. The defender's already falling. Like, I don't know what the issue is here. My problem is left guard climbing. So, like, the reason the 49ers running game has been so successful in these past couple seasons is, like, they're able to cut off linebackers. And when you do that at the second level, you're able to have these running lanes. Watch Banks here. So instantly overruns. And this is where, like, the lack of athleticism comes into play, right? You have to settle in. You have to settle your feet, calm down. He overruns the linebacker. And again, it's not so much about making plays, which he does make a tackle here. It's about giving yourself an opportunity to make a block. And I just don't think Banks is the future at left guard, but he has to play this year. And last play here, same thing, just climb into the second level, watch the center. Again, like their angles, the way that they either overrun or just miscalculate what they're supposed to do at the second level is pretty consistent. That was the last one I wanted to show. It was a pretty rough game for both Brendel and Banks in terms of missing blocks, overrunning as we saw, or just, sustaining blocks maybe is a better way to put it. So Feliciano, I think he's going to be the center. I would make him the center. Brendel doesn't look right. And, you have to wonder, like, what would Feliciano bring more to the table, right? Like, who is the bigger issue? And the center is going to have to make the line calls. Like, he has a lot on his plate. Feliciano has experience there. You don't want to overhaul your offensive line. You're not going to put Spencer Burford at left guard. You're not going to put Feliciano at center. You don't want to create more than one starting spot, which is why, you have an experienced veteran. Chris Forrester a month ago said, like, hey, when guys are slipping up, that's when Feliciano can step in and make a play. And I think this should be the last straw. Like, if you want to be a serious offense, right? If you want to get back to your roots of running the football, maybe even more play action. We haven't seen play action. I think that's a sign that Shanahan doesn't trust his offensive line. Enter in a veteran who has experience and has played center at a decent level. And to me, that means Feliciano perhaps against the Packers. And the thing about that is you can always go back, right? You can always put Brendel back in. I mean, maybe put Feliciano at left guard if that's the case. But to me, Feliciano, center, and maybe that's the spark plug you need. You're not going to, we're past the trade deadline, as I said, you're not going to be able to acquire anybody else. The answer is you're going to have to look within, and that's where Feliciano comes into play. So thanks for watching again. That'll be all for this week. We're going to turn the page to the Packers. Hopefully, come Monday, we're talking about 49ers win, and we're talking about an offensive line that's able to pick up blitzes and able to create some rushing lanes for not just Christian McCaffrey, but as well as Jordan Mason. So again, thanks, comment, subscribe if you aren't, like this video. Take care.